Let's talk a bit about politics. Okay? And I'll give you an example of bad politics. What is bad politics? Okay, and I think there could be numerous examples, but in our context, in the context of this discussion of governance entrepreneurship, one great example of bad politics is a long, funny, not funny, I mean I found it funny, but it's a long acronym called MNRE, etc., something. Okay, so everything has to have an N and G in India, something or the other. So one of the two, some ideally both, so that will be nice. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay? And that's bad politics. That's a great example of bad politics. Do you know why? It's a great example of bad politics because it focuses on precisely the wrong things. So instead of encouraging people to go and equip them to find work, it kind of encourages them perversely to just sit around, go and sign somewhere and collect some money. Which is really stupid considering, that this would be so nice instead that the government has a national entrepreneurship development scheme. And imagine, I'll give one very simple way of promoting entrepreneurship in India. Very simple. Give a tax break, anyone who starts a firm and gives job to as few as 5 people. Give them a tax break for 10 years, no income tax for 10 years. Imagine what it will do to entrepreneurship, right? And imagine the number of jobs that might be created. Huge. And what's wrong in giving tax breaks to people who are creating jobs? That's what we want to do. But instead, we have this digging holes kind of focus on, no, let's dig more holes. Oh, by the way, the rain did something to the hole, so let's dig it again. No one is able to quite explain how a hole that was dug got magically filled up. But when someone goes to visit, of course, there is no hole. So they say, oh, I don't know, someone must have covered it up, so we'll dig it again next year. And dig it again and dig it again. And so you keep digging, of course, it's still the same depth and everything. So, or how about setting a chain of vocational training school? Let people start their own business, own driving, clothing, whatever. So this is a great example of bad politics. And why it is bad politics is not just because of the misguided focus, but it's also bad because it does not work. It does not work in this sense. Last year, in 2010-11, this scheme provided employment to about 2.5 crore people. So it is massive. Of course, I mean, this is all basically on your taxpayers or your parents' tax money. That's how it's funded. However, about 1 crore people were pushed below the poverty line perversely because of food price inflation, which of course, one of the contributing factors is this cash which is coming for almost kind of guaranteed floating in the rural economy. Now there again, a sensible policy would be to give in kind, right? I mean, you're going to study economics and finance, and one of the easy ways to avoid inflation is to not push money in the economy, but push goods, correct? So it's a crude way, but it works. It probably would have worked better than just giving people money and then contributing to food price, which actually makes them poorer. So really stupid. I mean, you can think of how stupid it is. And you sometimes wonder who thought of these things, and what were they thinking? Now you can guess what were they thinking. They were of course not thinking about good economics at all. They were thinking about something else. They were thinking what I call in my words, they were thinking about the politics of poverty and how to exploit it. Okay, I'm going to make a very controversial but very bold statement. I really believe it. There are politicians and leaders in our system, unfortunately today, who have a vested interest in keeping people poor. So this is a very bold and controversial statement, but I'm willing to substantiate it when we have a discussion. And that's where the politics of poverty comes in. It's actually good in certain political plans that people have or strategies that people are deliberately kept poor. And so, give them dole instead of training them. Make sure that they don't somehow, never come out of that. Or if they do, they still barely are able to survive. Why? Because the system that's being perpetuated or the culture that's being perpetuated is a culture of entitlement. Okay, someone will take care of us. But perversely, this is what happens. People then tend to become, instead of self-reliant, they tend to become dependent. And that's precisely what you don't want if you want to promote a culture of entrepreneurship or development. Okay? And of course, no country ever became rich that way. That is for sure. Even India's ancient India, one of the reasons it was a trading economy, hugely entrepreneurial. People would not think twice of going, crossing 7 seas, in spite of all that 7 sea nonsense. You had trading across the seas, on all directions, not just west-east. So, hugely entrepreneurial society. Of course, during the intervening periods, we managed to kill it completely.